Welcome to Now for Someone Completely Interesting. I'm your host, Ben Poulin. Over the last year and a half that I've been doing this podcast, I've been lucky to have the opportunity to talk to several couples, but never at the same time. These two have been together for what? I'm thinking like 25 years, maybe a little bit more.
Probably close. I can't remember. 26?
It'll be 26.
Wow. Okay, so 20. Good job. 25 plus years. Dating in high school, getting married, having a family, running a business. I say business, but it's actually a dairy farm. We're going to definitely get into that. Being together so much, it's only fitting that I have them on at the same time. And even though as individuals, they are completely interesting, I felt they were the perfect couple to venture into this new territory with this show. Nikki here is my first cousin and my second relative to have on the podcast, so thank you for doing that. And her husband Richard has always felt like family. At least he's been around long enough anyways. So thank you so much, Nikki and Richard Brousseau, for joining me, hosting me here, feeding me. And we're capping off the evening. So, and I know you guys are really busy because we talked about the dairy farm, but we're definitely going to talk quite a bit about that here because it's something I'm fascinated with. I've been out to it a few times, learned a little bit about it, but always, it's been a while. So I kind of had a good refresher course this afternoon, but let's go back a little bit to where you guys kind of met and started out and get a little bit of history on you guys itself too.
Okay, let's just say I was never going to marry a farmer, ever. And I think I married the most hardcore farmer around. Seriously. But okay, what was where we started?
Well, just how you guys met and how you kind of became a couple, I guess.
Well,
Go ahead.
I attended a graduation.
Okay.
As an escort.
As a grad escort. Not, anyways.
I think I can see where this is going.
And his sister was in the grad class, and I met him at the graduation.
I see.
That was the first meeting. Then there was met again through 4-H, and I really don't know.
Yeah, no. The first time I met Nikki was at the graduation, and I never I saw this young lady sitting at a table, never had that feeling before, like I need to talk to that person ever, because small talk and like meeting people is not my forte. It's not like I once things are rolling, I can visit with people, but I'm not the one to make the first move. And yeah, I guess that's how it all got started.
I thought you were gonna go like I went on someone's date and went home with someone else kind of scenario.
Well, no.
No, but that's how we met. Yeah.
Right. So you did date through high school, and then you post-secondary education as well. You both went to Vermilion College,
That's
correct?
Right. Yeah.
What did you guys take there? You took the same program, didn't you?
We did. I was a year ahead of him.
Okay.
So, I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a year ahead of him. So I went to livestock production.
Okay.
Where I was at Lakeland College, just livestock production diploma, and Richard, same thing.
Yeah, the year after.
Okay.
So, and my sister was there the year ahead of Nikki, so we kind of everything overlapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nikki ended up getting, when she was done her diploma, she ended up getting the job as the dairy herdsperson at the college.
Yeah,
Okay.
So she stuck around, and then I was still there for my last year, and that's how
we lived in.
I guess that's how kind of we stayed. We ended up staying in Vermilion. I got a job. Yeah, I got a job after college at Pig Barn in Derwent.
Okay.
And so I lived in Derwent, and she lived in Vermilion, and so it was still close enough. And then we got married, and she moved out to the pig farm, and she just travel back and forth.
So obviously, I know like both of you grew up on farms.
Yep.
Took a post-secondary education around agriculture, so the plan was always to kind of be in and around that, and I guess building up to where you are now. What were your goals? Was the goal to run your own farm, or was it just to work somewhere in and around agriculture in some other?
Well, I wasn't gonna marry a farmer, and I honestly can't tell you why I went into ag. I think I went into ag because that's all I knew.
Right.
It sounds silly. It sounds awful, but I had a pull. I had an attraction to it, and it is really all I knew. But I didn't know really what I was going to do with it. And of course, meeting and knowing Richard and being so young, I could see that was his direction. That was like his whole life. And anyway, and I can't even say I enjoyed college.
Right.
I hated school, all of it, but college is a whole nother thing. You're there with people who have the same interests as you, and who are there because they want to be there, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And your friends, you know, it's just so different. You're not just friends because mom and dad lived in the same town. You ended up being born the same year, so you're in the same class.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And so anyways, that is kind of, I'm not sure I knew what I was going to do with it, and I'm not sure it was good. And I think in college we made lots of connections, and you learned how to learn.
Right.
And I think that is the first big building block to this, because agriculture changes so much, so fast. So many industries change so much, so fast. There are still some the basics, you know, you still apply and I've learned, and you use today. But really, we learned how to learn. We learned where to dig. We learned where to look. We learned, you know, kept those connections, and, you know, I don't know. That's kind of where I went with my education, you know.
So I'm sorry, this just kind of popped in my head. So both of you growing up on farms, I would think that if you were going to work in the agricultural industry, you would already have those kind of connections into it. Like, did you always think, I guess, when you were in high school, that you were going to go in some sort of post-secondary education that was revolved around agriculture? No, because let me put it this way. I would think, okay, well, with farm machinery and stuff, well, you might go and take your heavy-duty mechanic just to hone that, because that's something you're going to have to do all the time anyways. But anything specific to agriculture. So why did you think of going into that? Actually,
I didn't. And I could be the different case, but I grew up, it was all farming. That's all I did. I played with my toy. I didn't have Transformers, and I didn't have superheroes, and I didn't have, you know, any kind of gaming system. Yeah. I just had farm toys, and that's all I did.
They're still at his mom's house in the basement.
They're collectibles. They're collectibles. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, but and my whole life, I just thought that I would take over the farm. That's all it was. Like, I was just going to farm there, and that was the whole idea. You know, if you asked me as a kid what I was going to do, was just going to stay at the farm. I was going to keep farming. And then my sister, same thing. She went for livestock production. Like, she's 2 years older than me, so she started college, and it kind of sparked my interest a little bit. You know, then Nikki went, and then I got a taste of what it was. You know, and I was like, well. And it was a little bit of a tough time. You know, I grew up on a hog farm, and industry-wise is pretty tough. Then, you know, those years were, so I actually had different plans. I had told my parents, I'm going to stay, I'm going to get a job, and whatever I bring home, I'll just, you know, like, I'll give to you guys, like, you know, we'll get through this. Yeah. And they're like, no, you've worked hard. They paid me a wage, kind of, I never saw the money, but that went towards my tuition. Okay. If I went to a post-secondary education, you know, and stuff. So they had the money for me to go to school. And so I ended up just taking a diploma, and it opened up my eyes. And, yeah, I really enjoyed it, because, you know, for someone that comes, they just wanted to farm, you know, to have that opportunity to be able to, and like Nikki said, we learned a lot, but at the same time, it was the basis of learning how to learn, because a lot of the stuff we learned, we came when we applied, but it changes so much. It's so different, you know, and even some of the stuff they taught us, we kind of joked, because, you know, like the one dairy class, the guy hadn't changed the curriculum or updated the curriculum in 10 years. So his numbers were like out of date, but it gave you the basis of what it was, you know, it was beginning husbandry and stuff. So for me now, all of a sudden, now going to school and being away from the farm, and then when I was finished school, there was no opportunity for me to actually go back home. The way things were set up. Right. And that was really hard, you know, and I didn't ever expect that. Right. Ever expect that I wouldn't be going back home. And now I was like, okay, now what do I do? And search for some jobs, and found some jobs, and and then that's how still always an egg. Yeah. And we worked out in ag, and I think, like, I always had that inner desire to, if I'm going to work and do this, I'm going to do this for myself. We've actually been offered some opportunities from some companies and stuff, you know, as you know, to move up and to work with them, and we actually turned them down, because we're like, you know, we were young, we didn't have a family, and they're like, this is great, they wanted someone young and that could grow with the business, and we're like, this is not fair if we do this to you, because in probably 4 or 5 years the honeymoon phase of this job is going to be gone, and I know I'm going to want to do this for myself anyways. So I think without really discussing it, I think our goal were to do it for ourselves, just
Right.
weren't sure
Without even
how,
saying or
without
setting
saying
that
it.
out.
Yeah.
Even where we are today, I look back and I think there's not one day where I said, well, I'm going to do this and move to that, and then we're going to buy this and grow that. And now, we're looking at, on-farm sales, like opening a creamery. That never
Never even crossed our
somebody
mind.
told me that. I've been like, whatever.
I think it's been in our in the core of what we
Yeah.
want to do. I think it's been there. It just hasn't surfaced.
Right.
And I think too, I see it now. Like when we were at the college, we did a lot of teaching with students after hands-on training, and I did some in-class teaching and stuff. I realized that it's so good for kids to get out and get a post-secondary education, of any kind. Just go find yourself, because I saw so many farm kids that came, they knew a lot, but they knew what mom and dad knew, and that was
right.
it.
Yeah.
And to have to break that boundary and realize that, oh wow, just because mom and dad do it this way doesn't mean it's the right way, and I didn't necessarily come from that kind of background. I came very fortunate that we kind of, with my uncles and stuff, we had many different types of operations, so I got exposed to a lot of different things, which was I think a big benefit to how I am today. I was very fortunate. But yeah, you see a lot of students come, and some they've done big operations but have very little knowledge because they weren't involved.
Right.
And you have some that were like involved, like so passionate, so hardcore, but only knew this, and then when you open up their world, it's like, whoa,
So I guess, you're both looking at some point of running your own farm. You were probably thinking at one point, like you said, you were going to take over your family farm, Richard. And lo and behold, it kind of worked out that way. It just wasn't directly the family you intended to. So I want to talk about this. This is a kind of a special place too, because this is the original homestead where Nikki, our dads, grew up. And your dad ran that farm for years as a dairy farm. And when we're saying, like, learning how to learn, like, we should get into this too, because the way your parents operated that farm when I was growing up and visiting and remembering and seeing what I saw today is vastly different. Vastly different, even like with the regulations and how closely that industry is monitored and everything like that. But I guess before we get to that, like, what started the ball rolling for you to take over the farm? How did that come about? Like, or were you guys still looking at I guess starting your own operation separately at some point?
We had looked into a few places. Oh, maybe we could do this or that, those kind of ideas. And we were in the process of discussing some opportunities. I can't remember exactly. There was some bigger
opportunities. They were away from the area.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that the key thing was it would require for us to relocate.
Right.
Quite far away.
Mine
was far enough for my dad.
Yeah.
But it was only an hour from here. But like we would have been headed south,
right.
quite a bit. And my dad phoned me and said, I have an opportunity for you.
There you go. Okay.
And that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And we said, okay, so he said, you buy in. Right at the time, they were shipping too much milk. The quota regulations very different than they are even today. The system was actually different than it is today, and they were over shipping milk. So he said, you buy enough quota to for us to be able to ship what we're already over shipping.
Right.
And then you guys help us out, and slowly we grow into the farm.
He said,
Right.
buy yourself a job.
Yeah, basically you buy
yourself a job.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
I think the best thing was, when he heard that we had the opportunity to move far away, and he's like, no, I don't want to move far away. So it kind of triggered, which was great. So it was great. And then, the quota system, because in 2002, Alberta Milk, the marketing board, came to be. So it kind of amalgamated all the small little marketing boards and everything in the CDC. Anyways, this whole thing. So it's kind of started a new platform. Mm-hmm. So now quota was really being monitored. Things had to change. So many rules coming into play, and things have changed so much even since then. But at the time, like Nikki said, they were just over shipping, and so it was kind of a no-brainer. The milk was being produced. Yeah. So you didn't have to make an investment in the cows and barn and nothing. We just had to buy the quota for that little bit of milk. Yeah. And it worked out to the equivalent would have been about 4 cows. The equivalent of about 4 cows worth. Right. So, okay, we couldn't live off of that. There's no way we can live off that. It was enough of an investment. Quota is something that is quite costly. And so, yeah, we put a business plan together, and we went to all the major banks and got turned down. So, yeah.
Some of them couldn't even say quota.
Yeah, the one lady kept calling it quoto. The one guy, when we actually made an appointment with him, he pulled out a stack of sticky notes, didn't write nothing down, and pretty much told us we were too young, didn't know what we were talking about. The one guy after another bank was really good and like really took numbers down and everything, but when we worked out the numbers at the end, they wanted 251% security. So we thought, where's the risk? Like, how is this possible? This doesn't make no sense. And then the final major bank said, you guys are young farmers. We can't do nothing for you. You guys have to go to AFSC, Ag Lending, or FCC. So the two, you got to go there. There's nothing we can do. So we talked to Farm Credit Canada. The guy came right to our table, had supper with us. Mm-hmm. He looked at our numbers, and he said, okay, no investment in any infrastructure, no animals to be bought, no extra feed to be bought because it's there. Everything was there. He's like, just the quota. He's like, this no-brainer. We'll have this written up tomorrow. Plus, he said, you guys' number crunching and predicting, because we replicated the milk statement so that we knew what our numbers would be. He's like, we should be using that system to predict what our income is, because he's like, that's down to the penny.
What are you guys doing being farmers? You guys should be the pencil pushers over here.
Which I think, no. I think after we did the loan, I think 2 weeks later he calls us and he's like, I want to start a custom silage business. I need some partners. I want to start with you guys. Wow. And we're like, whoa, easy.
No,
easy. One business at a time. So essentially, from basically what you're saying, investing in 4 cows that already existed there, and it's grown to what you have now, which I think you said you're milking 40 cows?
50
cows. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I lost count after 27 or something like that today, but it's really a neat operation. And nothing like what I remember growing up. I remember coming to visit your family on the farm, the way the barn was set up, all the cows kind of came in. I don't know, maybe there was like 25 cows at a time. They came in to each of their individual stalls, and you hooked up the milking machine, and it filled up the bucket essentially is what it was. I remember you had to put the strap around the back, and it hung there, and then you'd have to dump it into the vat. Everything is pretty much all it's very...
It's pipeline now.
Yeah,
all pipeline now.
And I know there's some very fancy ones that it's all robotic too that I've heard of, but yours is still.
So
I don't know if
we're technically
we talked about it, but no.
No.
The cow contact is a big deal for us. The real,
But I think the thing is, it's funny because you come and visit and you think, wow, this is like so high tech. We're actually very old school for our era, so it's kind of funny. We're very old school, but it's
our thing is to keep it simple.
Right.
We have what we need to do the job.
Yeah.
And all the extras they're just really that extras.
Right.
And actually can cause you, can hinder you.
Right.
Like we've got, just an example, we've got some really good bacteria count levels in our milk because they test every bulk tank and we get results. Mm-hmm. And the one guy at Alberta Milk said, I don't know how you guys get those results. And I said, well, I think the reason we do is we pay very good attention when we're washing cows and prepping cows for milking. That's step one. We try to keep the cows clean. Step two, before even coming in. But I think our system is so simple. It's all automatically washed. But if you got less things for all the liquid, the fertilizer, the chemicals, and everything to go through, the better. So like the wash simple, everything works.
Right.
We eliminate a whole bunch of stuff that maybe doesn't need to be there.
Right.
And I think that's what makes a big difference too. So
we talked about the cows too, and the hands-on, the personality, knowing the animals, and this is what blew my mind here. So as they're coming in, they'll say, oh, that's pointed out a cow, that's Flo. So, did they all have names?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you'll even actually have our 3-year-old who knows some of them. Avery happens to be her favorite.
There you go.
She can identify them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were talking to your oldest daughter. I tested her.
Oh, did you?
Throughout the process. What's that one's name? How do I know she's not making up names on the spot, right? But she was pretty quick.
Honest.
Yeah. So, but you said you have to name the cows. You had mentioned,
That's right. When they're all registered, and so when you register them, they must have a name and a number, and so that's why they all have names. They all carry a prefix, which is Moo-Lait. Moo-Lait is our farm name.
Right.
They all carry a prefix, and then they have their name. So let's say Flo.
Mm-hmm.
And no, actually, that actually becomes their last name. Sorry, what would Flo's middle name be? It's usually their sire's name. I don't
We
know
usually
her
put
middle
we
name.
usually put the sire. It's common practice. So
Okay.
often when animals are named, and especially these are all purebred animals because we register. They're not necessarily to be purebred to be registered in the Holstein or the Jersey herd books.
Right.
But we do what we do. So it's the prefix automatically. It goes prefix. Then often it's the sire's name,
Okay.
and then it's the cow's name.
Gotcha.
So you would have like.
You know, like it'd be Moo-Lait, Starbuck, Flo,
Right.
or you know, like
So you just call her
Moo-Lait
by Flo,
something.
but her last name is her first name.
And
If
actually,
you look at it that way.
there
So
are
are you saying
some.
you saying there's a bull out there named Starbuck?
Yes, there is. And many
There's
years
some-
ago, before Starbuck actually.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
before Starbuck. You will
We
you will
have
actually
a-
find some very unique names.
We have
Yeah.
a sire's name was Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So we named his daughter Princess. So she is now Moo-Lait's beautiful princess.
Oh wow.
And
a
she's
bag.
she's
She's
playing the
not a
part. She
princess.
plays the part very
Oh,
well.
she plays the princess part. If you
Very
know what I
well.
mean.
Jeez.
And many of them have a baptized name,
Okay.
so they're not necessarily.
Names.
It's easier to give them a nickname than they.
Right.
It's easier to give them a nickname once
That
you
matches
get to
the
know them.
personality.
The day they're born, you
Right.
don't know who they really are. But
Right.
You've got to name them. And some of them end up with nicknames. That's correct.
Yes.
And see,
Nicknames.
this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, because people who don't ever come around on a farm have no idea that, and I've talked to several people, that these animals have very distinct personalities.
Extremely distinct.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
And so more so in the Jersey breed than the Holstein breed.
right.
You know,
Okay.
we find that the characters come out, the personalities are really, really strong on the Jersey side.
Is there a particular cow that you have in mind that you're kind of
There's some that are really sweet,
Yeah.
and then there's Princess,
is Princess a Jersey cow too?
Yes, she
Oh,
is.
Wow.
She's,
who is not so sweet.
yeah.
But
It's something
still
else. It is, I will honestly say it's something, and it's something I really enjoy is their personality. Sometimes it's makes your days like really, really long. And some, some activities really, really hard, but some are, and often we joke because when, we have to let some go,
Yeah.
the thing around here is, so the word culling is getting rid of animals, the
Right.
word cull. So we don't cull animals on our farm, they cull themselves. So they pretty much have a checklist. And if you keep filling the boxes, I'm sorry, you fill the boxes, your career change. So they're looking for a career change.
You go from milk to meat is what you're saying.
Well, most of the time.
But we will say, there are some cows who are still good, productive, usable cows.
Right.
We will let them go to other people
Okay.
and fulfill the duty that we think, like that
They
person
can
is
do.
looking for a nurse cow or whatnot, a
Right.
hand milking cow or a backyard cow. If they can fill that purpose for them,
Mhm.
we definitely let them go there.
Right.
Absolutely. But if they can't, I will not sell just anything to anybody. It's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean.
But that's the reality of a farm with any animals is that,
Absolutely.
well, that's why we have them. I mean,
Yep.
that stuff in the grocery store
Comes
doesn't
from-
just magically appear,
No, and it
right?
shouldn't.
Yeah, so that's so technically when we cull an animal, we all go to McDonald's a couple weeks later
No.
and get revenge.
Such a lie.
So
Get revenge. we joke about it.
We
No, we
joke about
don't do
it.
that.
it some are just not made to be milk cows,
Right.
and as much
They
as
know
the
it.
life we give them is as routine as possible, because it's very routine, it's very mundane. We like cows love it when it's like the same routine and everything. They still like will don't want to come to be milked and will kick in the parlor. They know, they understand how things work, and they understand it. Just the character is strong, and they're like, they don't want to do this. So we're like, well, career change it is. That's what it is.
Jeez,
I'm not gonna
that's
fight you.
it's fascinating actually to think of it that way. Like, I mean, you could have them as a pet, I
I
guess.
suppose
Do
if
they-
someone wanted. Yeah.
Do you ever get really attached to some of them?
I think
has
you.
been some where
I
I've
think you.
tried.
Yeah, I think you
gone.
get. I think you, whether you like them or not, you do. There's something because they're like
They're cared for from the
they're
first
cared for
day.
from the first day, and they're like
They're in our hands, right?
you're the one who has to do everything for them, make sure everything like so. They rely on you as much as you don't like them some days
Yeah.
or they frustrate you or something happened. They rely on you. So when you kind of have that level of responsibility, you do have, you're
Mm-hmm.
attached. And I will say, I might be stupid, but it could be -40 and I'm tucked into my bed and I'm like, it's got to be cold for them, even though it's a cold barn and we give them as much straw as we can and it's a blizzardy day, and until it settles down, like, they might be up against a windbreak standing, but that's the best you can do.
Right.
It's really, really, really hard. And yeah, you kind of think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder, like, okay, hopefully everybody's good in the morning.
So yeah, that kind of brings up another. And I think people somewhat understand this, but I mean, to really understand it, we talked a little bit earlier when we were making supper there. Going any holidays lately?
What did I say? I
yeah,
laughed?
yeah, pretty much.
Sorry,
That
did you too?
no, that's the exact reaction. But that's what I was essentially looking for, anyways. To be honest, I mean, you're running a business here, but it's not like a storefront business where you can close up shop for a couple weeks or a couple days, and so what? So you miss out on a couple customers. You cannot shut down a farm operation like this. And it's an early, like, twice a day you're milking cows. It's an early morning and it's an afternoon. I'm thinking of a time we were having a conversation. It was September long weekend, and you guys had gone out to a rodeo beer fest,
Right.
and I was like, and you got to get up and milk cows the next day. How do you do that? And I think Richard said it is, well, if we don't, then we would never see anybody or do
That's right.
anything.
Yeah,
You just
that's
have to bite the bullet, and you're going to go in a little bit tired, maybe a little bit hungover. But so it's 7 days a week, and it's not just milking cows. There's everything that goes on in between.
That's
We were here in the barn, Nikki, you and the older kids. Richard's outside, moving tractors, bales, feeding all the other livestock that's around there. It's not just the cows. So,
Right.
I mean, I guess what the day starts at about 4:30 in the morning and ends at when it's done.
That's correct. That's
Right
you
now-
had a good feel
right-
for
right
how
now,
things
yeah.
happen. And you weren't even here this morning, but yeah, that's what happened.
Right now, yes. Right now, I think maybe it's a little bit more chaotic than past. In the past, I think there's a lot going on, and we're maybe a little bit out of balance. We got to try to get that back into balance. But yeah,
It's
It is.
It's quieter
It-
in the wintertime
Okay,
because there's no field work.
right.
But it's not.
but it's demanding
still
sometimes.
Every single
Yeah.
day.
It can be
40
demanding.
below makes the days harder.
Yeah.
Because
But it is.
So-
But I just have to say this. You're right. We don't ever book a holiday.
right.
Ever, and I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. That is what we've chosen to do. It's fine. We have been on some really nice holidays, especially at a time when my mom and dad were still working with us.
Right.
We were able to take the kids to Disneyland. We
Disneyland.
were gone for 8 days. When the year we were OIF nominees at national level, we were in Quebec for 10 days.
Right.
We were able to do those things. We've been to Banff, those kind of things. So we have been able to do those things. Right now, we can't. That's okay.
Right.
And that's okay. The kids are getting older and they're leaving, but they're talking about coming back. So there will be a day again. But I will tell you, going fishing, the kayak fishing after supper, it is like a holiday. It's a break.
Right.
I love to berry pick, and so just getting on the quad and riding the fields and finding berries along the edge. That's a holiday.
Yeah.
And even my yard, as much work as my yard is, I love my yard, and I can sit by the fire, and I sometimes think a lot of people who pay a lot of money to book a weekend do what I'm doing tonight and probably can do tomorrow.
Yep.
So we pick our moments. We have these beautiful opportunities, sunrises every morning, sunsets every night, all year long. Like in the very early of summer, not the very early, but the very longest days of summer, I kind of miss the sunrise. We get up, the alarm rings at 4:30 and it's already light. But, most of the time we get those sunrises,
Yeah.
So there's we don't ever get away on holiday, but you have all these little moments that are getaways. And if you really take them and look at them as getaways, they're such blessings. They're these little drops of, these little drops of energy, of fuel, of it's really nice.
And
I don't know.
if I can add to that, the other thing too is
Bugs.
we both work on the farm. So Nikki doesn't work out, or I don't work out another
Yeah.
job. So often, like, not every day, and not so much in the spring and in the summer and the fall, but in the wintertime, after breakfast, 15 minutes. You lay down for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Not too many jobs where you can just be like, okay, right now the morning was later, whatever. It's
Come sell
40,
cars sometimes.
So, so that's one thing, like being your own boss. And like in the wintertime, we can just say, okay, you know what? It's a nice day today. We can manage to get chores done. We can go ice fishing, you know, and it could be a Tuesday. Yeah. And I don't have to tell anybody. It's just spur of the moment. Yeah. You know, we've got those opportunities. We can do that. Not that we do a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The other thing too that kind of, it's a story that I'll never forget, and it kind of stuck with me, and I never realized so much, is we had got, I don't know what happened, but we got this opportunity to get a free trip or a free stay at a resort. And it was the Elkhorn Resort or something. You had to go in the city and you had to go listen to this sales of timeshare and whatnot. So, okay.
Gotcha.
So we're like, sure. We went to the city. This is when we had no kids yet.
No.
Yeah, we had, yes, the kids are little. We had a few kids. Anyways, so we go up there and we listen to their whole speech. And then, of course, then the lights turn on, you know, and then there's a sales person that comes to each table, tries to sell you. So this person comes and sits and explains all this to us. And we're like, well, we're not interested. Well, what do you mean you're not interested? Well, we're dairy farmers. We have no opportunity to do this and whatnot. And they try and try and try. And okay, well, and we said, okay, well, we're not interested, but
try as you may, it's not happening.
It's not going to happen. But apparently we have like a free stay somewhere or something. Well, okay, yeah, you got to go into this room here. And so we go to this other room. And of course, someone else comes in and tries kick at the cat, you know, and no sale there. So we're in the final room now with the final guy. He must be
anybody gets there.
He must be the really good sales guy, you know. And this guy's trying. And I said, you know what? We're dairy farmers. I said, a simple vacation for us is like after morning milk on Sunday, you know, after church and everything on Sunday, we just take the quads to the back and roast a wiener over a fire, and we come back from milking chores in the afternoon, and like that's a vacation for us. And the guy couldn't believe what he heard.
He's like,
okay. Okay. So
people have something wrong with
so like
people.
So he's like, okay, and then we got to pick out of a bowl. It's like whatever. I don't remember what it was. We didn't end up even using it because we didn't have time. We didn't have time. But it was so funny. Like,
but we got away. We got to go listen to a timeshare.
It's funny. Like we put the best salesman on and we couldn't crack them. We're like, nope, we're done.
It's well put about like finding the moments. I mean, that's why people take the holidays to have that time away. But when you have the opportunity like you do here where you live, I mean, this is what people are looking for. Like I'm looking over, you can see the fire pit and it's nestled nice in the trees. We're sitting here on the deck on a quiet road that you know, there's not a lot of traffic, and we're looking at this new little building that's going up that's going to be.
It's so cute.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna maybe take a picture of that and post it on our social media there. It looks like a little old-fashioned general store. You guys are gonna be doing cream and cheese, which is not something that is you see anymore. But maybe I can take a picture of the bottles you guys are gonna be having, and once it's up and running. Do you have any social media for this? I know you're not.
We're not too much on social media. It was my New Year's resolution 2014 was to get on Facebook.
Right.
Haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But you know. But Cassie has an Instagram.
That's right, and she's that's your daughter.
She's posting pictures once in a while,
Good.
You know, that kind of stuff. We are going to get a website.
Okay.
We have to.
Okay.
I mean, it just only makes sense. People want to know.
Absolutely.
Even myself.
Yeah.
I have found this really great wine. Living Skies Winery, Saskatchewan.
Right.
And I'm like, who are these people? You know, I got to see, and it turns out they're OYF alumni too, right? And I never met them, but. You know, so you want to go on their website, you want to see their farm, you want to see some pictures.
Absolutely.
So that's what we want to do. That we want to give people that opportunity to see. You might not be able to get to come to the farm, so we will definitely be doing that.
And then we'll be happy to promote that here through Poolin Radio as well. So once that's set up, let me know. And I was going to say, Cassie, she's one of my best followers on social media, liking everything. I really appreciate that. So, so you definitely have someone who can help you out with that. So, before we wrap it up, I only have, and I know you guys have only listened to one or two of these podcasts, and the ones you mentioned, I wasn't doing this at the time, but it's my one little question that I have absolutely prepared, and I don't give you a heads up if you don't know that it's coming. So it's really not that bad, but it does put you on the spot a little bit. Either one of you, both of you can answer whatever comes to mind. This is a podcast called Now for Someone Completely Interesting. You guys are here as my guests, as people I think are completely interesting, which is why I invited you on here. But some people are curious. If you had to recommend someone for this show, who would you recommend? And I'm not saying they have to come on. Just for curiosity.
Oh, I wish I would have had time to think about it, because
You need to call
Yeah.
it Bishop Paul.
actually,
Paul.
yeah,
Okay, the
Bishop
Paul.
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 Bishop Paul.
Yes.
Terry.
Okay.
Paul
Yep.
Terrio.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be super interesting. You maybe need to call Alan Jubinville. He's got a phenomenal operation
That's
there.
Al's Carrots.
Al's Carrots.
Yes, you know what? I think he's somewhere on my list when I originally started
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
and yeah, for sure. And
I do.
his son Richard only lives a couple doors down
Oh,
too,
that's
so
exactly right.
I might have it in there with that. And you were 100% right, because I've talked with his son about that operation, and they're geniuses, to be
Yeah,
honest.
absolutely.
So yeah, okay. Thank you very much for recommending that, and for sure, I definitely appreciate it. Again, this is my cousin Nikki, her husband Richard, the Brousseaus here. They have the dairy farm out here by St. Edward. Soon to have, it's going to be called the St. Edward
It's called the St. Edward Creamery.
Creamery. Okay, and once that's up and running, we're going to make sure that you guys get some exposure through us as well.
Have you live on location.
I don't know if I can do that, but
Everybody wants to be the first ones in, the first customer. We need
Right.
to have many opening days.
there you go. But thank you so much. Like I said, we talked about it here. You guys have a very busy schedule, so I appreciate you taking the time, having me over, and a nice relaxing evening there. The podcast, once again, now for someone completely interesting. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give us a subscription and a like our social media. You can find us through Poolin Radio. Find us on your favorite podcast provider by searching Poolin Radio or Now for Someone Completely Interesting.